I don't even have to be on here.
Oh, good morning. You are. Well, you are on this, and we're here with Isaac Murdoch, and we were just saying how much we love him. And I'm really,
Yes.
I think that everyone that's going to join us today probably will feel the same way, because I creep him all the time on his social media. He's my person that I creep if I'm feeling bad, and be like, truthfully.
Or if you want to listen to stories.
Or I listen to stories. Yeah, I was going to get into like all of the things that he represents to me about culture and connecting and just grace, about just learning because you want to
Yes.
feel full in life. And so I welcome Isaac Murdoch today with my good friend, sister, Sherry Sayville, that I love. And the theme, well, you know, that we were just talking about it backstage, like, what are we talking about? And I don't even know that it matters. The topic that we talk about, it always looks like love to me, the way you speak, Isaac. So I want to welcome you to introduce yourself and take the stage over. Sherry, I don't know if you want to say anything.
No, just welcome, Isaac. I know that, you know, my family is so enamored by you, and every single time that you go live, they tell me, "Are you listening to Isaac?" And remember, you had gifted my sister a painting, so she was just really thrilled. So you know, you have people right across the country that are just love you to pieces to talk. So welcome, Isaac, and we're so thrilled that you're here.
Well, thank you so much. Well, you two sure know how to make somebody blush. You sure know how to make me blush, that's for sure. So Ani Buju, Manzanab Kinege na be, Bomgiizhik and Disney cause. Kinebe Gukshabika Jwat and Donjba. Gnoje and Dodem. My name is Bomgiizhik. That's an honorary traditional name that I got from the elders in my family. And that was the name of my great grandfather, and it means revolving sky. I'm from a place called Ganabajing, which is the place of the serpent. And so I Serpent River is where I'm from, and the territory around it. And it's such a beautiful place and a beautiful community. I'm from the fish clan, and part of the responsibilities of the fish is to watch the stars and to gaze into the stars and to understand the stories that were gifted to us. And so that's who I am. I live in the bush. I'm just a regular dude. I get my dishwater from snow. I have a really simple life. I really like living in the bush. I live at a place called Bomgiizhik, which is our language community, our cultural community that we started a few years ago. It's really started with the vision of the elders and what they wanted to see for the future. And so it's been a labor of love for them to be able to be a part of something so amazing and beautiful. And so I want to just give commemoration to those elders that started off the vision of Bomgiizhik. Um, I definitely do want to speak about a couple of things. And in order to really get my point across, I think I need to start right from the beginning. And so these are Ojibwe beliefs and philosophies that were taught to me by my grandparents and by other elders in my village. And so what I'm going to tell you is it's really their knowledge. It's not my own knowledge. So I'm just kind of like passing down kind of what I heard. And I think it's important to always remember that when we talk about, Kendasoan, when we talk about knowledge, that it's never really ours because we always got it from somewhere else. So as human beings, we just borrow that for a little bit. And so I borrowed this knowledge off of the elders. And so I just want to share this with you. They say that we come from a place called Shpiming, which is, of course, the place up high. And as a child, I always wanted to know about what is that, Shpiming? They say that's where we come from. That's where we originated from. And I'd be like, oh, so like when? Well, before you came here to Earth, you come from Shpiming. You come from the home of where our ancestors are. And I thought that was so fascinating. I was like, I want to know more. And so my great grandfather, the one that I'm named after, was very instrumental in ensuring the cultural practices of our burials. And so the family had a lot of knowledge about the afterlife and the burials and the traveling here and to and from and back and forth and all sorts of stuff. And so, I got to be able to sit and listen to a lot of these amazing stories, which is a record of who we are. So these stories are, they're not fiction. They're not legends or fables, but they're actual historical accounts of of who we are as Anishinaabeg. And so I'll start from the beginning. Ishpeming. They say that this land over there, way in the west, is a very beautiful place. There's many things that live there. There's many beautiful things that live there. And all of our ancestors are there. And they say that up in the sky, there's many different worlds up there. But that Ishpeming is for us. That's our place. And they say that, when we were gifted an opportunity to come down here, that we're scared. We're not sure. So we start walking towards the earth through the stars, but then we turn back. And our ancestors say, go. It's a beautiful experience. Everything is beautiful there. Go. And you'll have work to do there. You're being called. The spirits down there are calling you. And so you start traveling. And then all of a sudden, there's a great big fire right away. And you have to walk through that fire. Of course, as you're walking through that fire, you gain knowledge about the fire. Then you go through that fire, and all of a sudden the fire gets put out by a bunch of water. The water, you're in this water, and you learn from it. You gain knowledge from it. And then all of a sudden, a breath comes. And the breath, it blows all the water away. And you get to know the power of air. And then at that point, then you understand the power of the earth. Okay. And so that's our journey here. And that's really our story. That's our birth story. So conception happens, the fire. Then all of a sudden we're immersed in water and we're like floating in our mom's belly. Then all of a sudden, we're in this wind. Our first breath after we go through that sacred hoop. And then we sound our voice to the world as a baby. That's part of our journey here. And then as soon as we're held and we're touched, and as soon as we touch the ground, that's when our journey from here to earth is completed. And some people won't let their babies touch the ground for a year. So that journey can be that long. And what's beautiful about that journey is they say that we're invited into this beautiful sacred lodge here on earth. And that this lodge here on earth, it's beautiful. The forest, the trees, the wind, the animals, everything in this sacred lodge, this lodge of life, is always so giving to us. But it's not the only things that live there. You have the Mimigwesiwak, you have the little people, you have the Tiginebeguk, the serpents, you have the Benabe Kweyak, the mermaids, you have the Nimki Benesiwak, the thunderbirds. There's lots of things that live in the sacred lodge, and they're the conductors of this ceremony of life. They're the ones that conduct the ceremony here in this lodge. And as human beings, as we enter this doorway, we walk through that lodge and we exit through the other door at the end. And then we start making our trip back to Ispaming, back to home. But while we're doing this trail here on earth, make no mistake, there's a big ceremony happening. Everything, life is a ceremony. And I always think about, the hardships of our people. For many Indigenous people, we still feel the effects of an ongoing genocide by Canada. And so for many of us, we feel that there's a lot of trauma, unresolved trauma. There could be a lot of emotional issues that resulted from the generational impacts of residential school. There could be, the CES scoop has certainly left a damaging mark on our people. There's lots that happened. And, because Canada wanted our lands. And so they put a genocide on us to steal our lands. And so a lot of people, they live in that trauma, or they experience that trauma, and that's the reality. But I'm here to say something too, that yes, that did happen to us. But we are in a sacred lodge. And that in this lodge, there's so much beautiful magic here. And there's so much beautiful things here that we can't just always focus on the bad things that happened. We have to really, really open our eyes and look at the beautiful that's around us, the people, our kids, our parents, the forest, the sky, the stars, all of those things. I always say that, because our body is completely filled with water, completely. And that water has memory. And water travels from spirit to spirit. The water that I drank that filled my body was once in a beaver, or a bear, or a tree. And the water will leave my body, and it'll continue to go on, and it'll become a bunch of squirrels, and then a thundercloud. And it just travels from spirit to spirit, and we're all connected in this lodge, in this sacred lodge. And that, for thousands and thousands of years since our creation, there was many songs for the waters, many ceremonies, many dances, a whole way of life on the water. That water carries all those memories, all those songs, all those dances. Water is such a powerful medicine. We need it to survive. How many times did water save somebody's life? Lots. All of that is inside of us too. So we can't just always celebrate the trauma. And we always can't, have a party for our trauma all the time. We have to really take time to celebrate all of those good things too that are inside of us. We have more than just those bad things. We have a lot of beautiful things. And part of this journey here, I think, too, is that they say that there's many paths and there's many roads. And that we go down these roads, but we come back to the main one and we keep following that red trail called Wabannomikan. And so life is not supposed to be easy. This gift is not supposed to be easy. And that's part of the gift. Because they say where we come from, there is no hardship. So the hardship in itself is a gift. And I guess that would be hard to understand. But that's what they say. That even our hardship is a gift. Everything is a gift here on this earth. And that we were chosen to come here. And that when we came here, of course, we picked who our parents were. We picked, many things. We had a choice. And now that we're here, we're also given a gift. And we have to find out what that gift is. And I've often thought, what does that mean? And to me, it means, like, who are you really? Like, what are you really supposed to do on this earth? What is your natural, given gift that you're supposed to do? Because society, because it's so built on, corporations and consumerism and all those things, that it's almost like we're forced into this unrealistic, pattern of what success should be, and it doesn't really leave any room for us to explore our gifts, because we have mortgages, we got bills, we got, all sorts of things, and we can't just do what we want, because how are we going to live? And so it's almost like we've been hijacked, from being who we really need to be. And I always say no. Don't conform to what society wants you to be, or what society, needs you to be to keep the machine going. Because we don't need that anymore. We need real people. We need people that are going to, find out what their gift is, and feast and nourish that gift, and master it, and bring those gifts to the world. Share those gifts in the lodge. That's so important. And when you actually, have your gift, when you believe in your gift, and when you start feasting and nourishing your gift, wouldn't you know it? You start to be happy about things. You start to be happy about your own self, and you start to be happy about where you're going in your life. You don't feel like you're stuck in a dead end job, or you don't feel like you're bound by policies, and you don't feel like you're confined by all these colonial frameworks. When you follow your true gift, it's directly connected and tied to this lodge. We're woven into this beautiful blanket of life in this lodge. All the gifts are tangled in there too. They're all in there, and their hearts are beating. So when we find our gift, and when we start to utilize it, we'll know that it's connected to the biology, to the ecology of where we live, to Shkakamikwe, the earth, because that's where all of our gifts come from. And so I always think about, how do we inspire our young people to seek out their gifts and to follow their true path? Because right now, if we all conform to what society and what corporations want, then we cannot reverse climate change, because this is contributing to climate change. So if we're dependent on the fossil fuel market, if we're dependent on, the mass consumerism that takes place, which all ends up in deforestation and pollution of lands and mining and, all of that stuff, pipelines. If that's what we're dependent on, then and if we don't, change, then of course the world is just going to keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And of course we don't want that to happen. But when you follow your true gift, you will find that you will break away from that. Everybody's true gift is tied to the earth. It's tied to the spiritual part of this lodge. It could be the sky. It could be the trees, the animals. Who knows? But it's tied to something special. It's tied to something very beautiful, and that's inside of you. And so I say, do you. Be who you are. Don't worry about everybody else. I remember one time I asked my teacher, I said, what is success? And they said, well, what does success mean to you? I said, I don't know. I just want to be a simple fisherman. I don't want to have anything fancy. And my teacher looked at me and said, you know what? I think that that's a very good thing. And my teacher said, I don't even think you need to be here, actually. I don't know why you're in school. Because you just strike me as a person that'll just, you just love fishing, you like the land so much. And so my mother also felt the same way and said, my boy, you don't need to go to school anymore, because what's your gift that you're going to learn is not going to be there. It's going to be in the bush. And so, of course, I learned in the bush. At a young age, I lived with elders and medicine peoples, and I started to learn about plants and medicines, about different ceremonies and those types of things, hunting and fishing and wild rice harvesting and maple syrup making and all those things. And I really enjoyed it. That's who I really am. That was my gift, being in the forest. And so I was immersed in the forest. I'm very lucky to have a mom that allowed that to happen, and elders that said, yes, we have enough people that are in the school system and not enough people that are in the land system. And so they said, you need to be in the land system. He says, there's a big education system on our land. There's a big healthcare system on our land, but nobody's there. So yes, if that's what your gift is, then go, and we'll take you. And so it's important to recognize that there's many different forms of education. There's many disciplines of education. And it's not just, Western education. There is so many different disciplines of education out there that are not tied to a book, that are not tied to a Facebook, that are not tied to a webinar, that are not tied to anything. And, these forms of education are spirit driven, which is very important to know. And so I believe that when you find out who you are and what your true gift is, then you do everything in your power to do that. And I mean, it could very well be that you might be an amazing doctor. So go for it. Go spend 10 years in university and become an amazing doctor and save people's lives every day. Like, how cool is that? Or maybe you do want to be just plant trees for the rest of your life. That's what you want to do. If there was somebody that wanted to plant trees for their entire lives, they would become so famous and so well respected around the world that they would be talking about that person for thousands of years. Because for somebody to take on that commitment just to plant trees for the rest of their lives, wow, what a gift. What a sacred thing. So do whatever you I think you have to do whoever you are, you have to do what you're given. That's really important. I often think about our young people and the struggles that they have. And I was a young person and I had struggles too. And it wasn't that long ago, it seems like, But as time goes on, I look back and I think, my struggles all had to do with my spirituality. It had to do with my belief in who I was as a person and my connection to the Sacred Lodge. And, when you're young, you start to question things. You start to become a non-believer. And so, but for many young people, that doesn't last for long. And they end up going back to their cultural ways. And so, make time for your culture, for your heritage, whatever it is. I believe in diversity. I believe in making sure that, all cultures and all races and all faiths have an equal opportunity to shine. And diversity is important because when you look in a forest, diversity is what makes that biology so rich. And, it's diversity that maximizes the potential that the ecosystems are able to give to everything. You take the diversity out and the whole system collapses. And so even with human beings, we need to have that diversity. But it seems like we all get put into the Canadian melting pot and we all get kind of conformed and we all get molded into the same type of a person. That doesn't need to happen. That doesn't need to happen. When people come to our lands up here, I always tell people, here you can be whoever you want to be. Whatever you are, whoever you are, that's who you are. And so whatever culture you are, sing your songs, speak your language, dance your dances, learn those old stories, wear your own traditional clothes. Don't be ashamed of your own culture. Mainstream culture, pop culture, has wreaked havoc on traditional cultures. And so right now there's this big movement where it's like we all gotta, be successful, in meaning having lots of money and jobs and all sorts of stuff, and have everything. But that's not the case. That's not the real case. The real story is you and your journey in this sacred lodge here on this earth, and what you're going to do with it. Who are you going to help? Everything in this sacred lodge helps everything. And part of the thing that helps us do that exists right in here, in our heart. And our heart is like, for the Anishinaabe, that's our real brain. Not here. Here, that's our brain. Our heart is what tells our brain what to do, which tells other things what to do. But it's really our heart. And so the power of the heart is incredible. So even though maybe you don't feel good, maybe you feel crabby, or you feel cranky, you had a rough day, maybe a whole bunch of people are picking on you, they're not being nice to you, maybe you're being bullied, or maybe there's just a bunch of people that are not being nice, that has nothing to do with you. Put it away. That has nothing to do with you. That's them. Right now you have a choice to choose happiness, to feel good about yourself. We have no power and control over what other people say about us. People are going to say whatever they want. But we do have power and control in how we feel, and what we think, and what we say. And if you feel good about yourself, if you decide to feel good about yourself and say, you know what, I'm a good person, and I'm going to say good things, and you're kind to people, that's powerful. Kindness and love are the most powerful medicines that we have. When we're very kind, and when we're very, gentle, and we make sure that we share what we have with everything, then our life will become a lot easier, and our experiences will become more meaningful, because we really, really, used our heart. And what that does too, it makes you more present with stuff. When you're feeling about something, when you're feeling about something good about somebody right now, then that's happening right now, instead of worrying about something in the future, or worrying about what somebody said in the back. Don't worry about that stuff. Don't even worry. Just enjoy every moment that you have, and be kind, because kindness has a way of making a change. When I speak, it comes from my heart, it goes out of my mouth, and then it starts to travel. Everything that I say will start to travel around the earth. When you say good things, that's good things that are traveling around the earth, and they'll find where it needs to go, and it'll start to do its work wherever it needs to be. When you're kind, when you're generous, when you have good things to say, it does change the world. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Like, look at air. You can't really see air, but it's there, and you need it to live. And so that's how I see this too. You know, kindness, we can't see it once you put it out there often. We'll never see the results of it sometimes, but it does make a difference. Everything good we put out in the world makes a difference. That's what I think. You know, I remember one time I was walking down the street in Saskatoon, and there was this person on the street sitting there on a cardboard box. They didn't have nothing, no shoes, no nothing. They had long, scraggly hair. You can tell that that's where they slept. And right away, that person looked at me and started pointing towards me. So I started walking up to this guy that was sitting on the street. And you know what he said to me? Ani bonjour, Bomgiizhik. And I looked at him. I said, how did you know my name? He goes, oh, I've known you a long time. I've known you your whole life. I said, whoa. And this was before Facebook, before the internet, before I even had a cell phone. Like, there's no way this person should have ever known who I was. And so I asked him, I said, you know, where are you from? You know, Anishenjabayan. I said, where are you from? Oh, Mompi. He said, I'm right here. I said, oh. And so I said, you know, can you help me? He said, yeah, sure. So I sat with him. For some reason, how did this person know my name? Know where I was from? This stranger. And I said, you know, I have something wrong with my back. I fell off a cliff and my back hurts. He says, I'll fix that right up. He put his hand on my back. And he started to sing a song. And my back was fixed. And I got up and I said, thank you. I said, what do you want in return? He says, I want you to smile. He says, you look so grumpy walking down the road there. He says, I want you to smile more. And so I left. I started walking away after that. I felt so grateful. And so I thought I'd go back. And I went back and he was gone. There was nothing there. I asked people, did you see somebody here? He was just here a minute ago. No, we never seen nothing. I asked the guy that there was an Italian man at the store. And he had his magazines outside. And I said, did you see that man that was here? Nope. There was nobody there. That's what happened to me. And so I believe there's things out there. There's mysteries out there. There's things out there. There's magic out there that we can't see. And that man cured my back. And he spoke Indian. But guess what? He was an Anishinaabe. He was white. So sometimes you don't know. The spirits come in many different ways and shapes. And I believe that I was blessed that day. I was cured. My back injury got cured that day by that spirit that was sitting on the street. And so I often, you know, that left a strong impression to me when I was younger. I kept thinking, you know, there's something out there. There's something magical out there. This world is a very beautiful place. It's a very special place. This isn't the only way it is. What we see, there's more to it. And so, of course, after that, you know, I started to really study and try to learn our ceremonies and our practices on the land. I used to go to a lot of our sacred sites and try to understand them and you know, and again, I was able to see the magic. And so there is so much things here. You know, I've seen lots of really, really amazing, incredible things that would not be possible to Western science. I've seen them with my own eyes, and lots of people have. I remember one time there was this lady. She wasn't feeling well. She had depression and anxiety, because of what happened to her in residential school. And so she went and seen my grandmother. And my grandmother said, "Go get me this certain type of leaf." And she told me in Indian what kind of plant it was. And so I went and got a whole bunch of them. And what she did was she grabbed those big leaves and she put them around that lady's head, and she tied a red cloth around there. And she, Mesqua Gubsin is what she called it. The red poultice, the red, like a poultice, I guess. Those leaves were to draw things out of her. And she had that thing on there. She had to sleep with it on. When she woke up, those leaves that are normally very thin were thick. And those leaves were black. And we put them into the fire. And those leaves sucked all that stuff out of her. And my grandmother made her stay there for 10 days, live with her. And they did that every single day. And it helped that lady. She felt better. She didn't have anxiety anymore. She didn't feel depressed anymore after that. And that's what I remember seeing when I was younger. And so remember that our healthcare systems for, Indigenous people all over the world, for peoples all over the world, when they go back to the natural healthcare systems, they go back to our creation stories. Modern science has only been here for 500 years since the falling of the apple, since Galileo. It's not that long, but our traditional knowledge about medicine goes back thousands of years. And what makes traditional knowledge in medicine different is that it involves spirit. It involves the spirits in the sacred lodge that we've been welcomed into. And so, of course, we always give something for what we have. So we're always offering our tobacco. You always say, and good na say ma, I offer my tobacco. I give this to you for helping me. So when we're in the sacred lodge here on earth, we always give something for what we take. That's one of the natural laws that we have. They call that chinak nagewananan. That's the law that, if we take something in this lodge, we replace it with something, so that the next time, our descendants come into this lodge, they'll have the richness of it too, and they'll be able to experience all the beautiful things. But if we take all the beautiful things and we don't put anything back, there'll be nothing beautiful here. And when the future generations come here, all of that medicine, all of that stuff will be gone. And that's what's happening now. And so always give. Bigajagayawan. That's so important. You can mananik, gawin we ka manan zinoan, gidanak nagawan nananin. In Chinachigasawag, Kinagego, in Chinachigade Mampi, King. Gidah kana, Anishna Bekina Gidamen. Kapska be and Dapna non enwaying, Gao nitoying. Kapska be Niab Gidakim nan. We have to make sure that when we live our life here, that we have to go back to the original instructions that we have. Many people are not following the instructions, but we have to give those and we have to follow them. the original instructions to live here on earth. We can't continue to live with man-made instructions, but we have to live from the instructions from the Wesiwag, the Metegog, the trees, the animals, the Gigawag, the fish, the Benesiwak, the birds, Nesewen, the air, Nebeh, the water. That's where we get our instructions from. And they're the true leaders, the animals, and all of the things in the lodge are the leaders of our government. The true government here is not a liberal party or a conservative party or anything like that. That's not how Anishinaabe would think. The true governance here is the land itself and all the spirits that live in it. And of course, all of the helpers of Skakmakwe. Those are the leaders of our government. We're not the government. We've just been invited here. And so we got this government already here. And so we kind of travel our life through here, governed by these beautiful things. And, always giving as we go as part of that law, part of the governance. Everything does it, And so that's something I wanted to say. It's hard because in 2021, people will say, well, that sounds really cool, but I live in Toronto. I live in, Los Angeles, or I live wherever. And that's just such a far reality from where I live and like possibly what I can do. And so I always tell people, who are you though? Find out who you really are. And it'll lead you where it needs to. When it needs to. Don't think about all the obstacles that are in your way. Because yes, life is full of obstacles. But if we always think about obstacles all the time, then you know what? And that becomes our life. Just obstacles. Oh, I gotta go through the no. It just becomes a big complaining session all the time about our own lives. So it's almost like, think about not the obstacles, but the possibilities. And go for it. The obstacles are supposed to be there. It's just the way it is. And sometimes these obstacles throw us in a big hole. And it feels like we have nothing. It feels like we are nothing. Even not supposed to be like that, but climb out. And when you climb out, you will definitely know that you are not nothing. When you climb out of a bad situation and you look clearly, you'll be able to see everything. So don't stop moving. Don't stop moving forward. We're gonna have hard times. We're gonna have tough things. But we have to keep moving forward. We have to keep pushing forward. And of course, seeing the possibilities, living them. Every single day is a new possibility. Every moment is a possibility to do something amazing, to work towards who you really are. If the world functioned with people that utilize their gifts and were able to reach their full potential with what their natural gift was, this world would be really super incredibly different. And so, find your place in this world. I think that's important. All the kids all over the whole world, should learn out who they really are and what their true gift is, and then do that and follow that dream, whatever it is. And so there's lots of things are different now. When I was a kid, it was like almost like the 50s system. Now today, teachers are a lot more inviting to new ideas and strategies and stuff. So things are changing. So don't be scared to talk. The young people, because you don't have mortgages, you don't have, major bills to pay. You're not deadlocked in contracts with work and stuff. You have all this freedom. And so the young people are the ones that can change everything. So I encourage the young people to start organizing for the climate, for the environment, for equality. I encourage young people because you can't get fired from anything. Teachers can't really do it at the extent that you can, because teachers will get fired if they spend all their time, trying to fight the system. But don't even fight the system. Gather together and form a revolution of the heart that's going to build a better whatever it is that you want. So instead of tearing down systems of oppression and colonialism, build up beautiful, beautiful things. Don't waste your time fighting something all the time. Because you're going to spend this whole gift here on life fighting something. And what happens if the fight becomes more important than what you're fighting for? And you spend your whole life being mad. when really you only had just a little bit time here. And maybe it would have been wise to be happy and to make something beautiful. If we, be for something, not against something. And, I call on all the young people and everybody watching this, wherever you are, to support our young people and their revolution for change. It's time. It's needed. We simply just can't keep going the way we're going as society. We need, drastic change, and it's the young people that are going to do this. So teachers and educators, don't hold them back. Support them. Support all these good things forward, because we're in abrupt climate change. The world is suffering a massive ecological collapse. So let's not contain our young people and try to mold them to what we think they need to be. They already know what they need to do. Let them go. If they wanted to do something, let them. This is their time, and we need them, and we need to get out of the way. And so I always say that to all the teachers, all the adults of the world. When our young people say something, when they're standing for something, let them go. Just support them. Let them go. Let them do what they have to do, because that's a powerful thing. And so the power of the heart, when you start connecting hearts together, when you start connecting ideas and good thoughts, and you start connecting and building relationships with everybody, and you start pushing these good things forward, then that's a beautiful thing. Who wants to stop that anyways? When you have a whole bunch of people that are doing amazing things and building beautiful things and want to do something incredible, nobody's going to stop you. So go. I think it's so important. The world needs you right now. And it's not all your responsibility. That's definitely for sure. But you do have more power than the rest of us. That is for sure. The young people have the power for change. And so, be kind to each other, support each other. Don't gossip. Don't badmouth each other. And always remember that in this sacred lodge here on earth, it's only for a little bit. People come in and out of this lodge all the time. They come here, they bring us stuff, they'll go back home. And, try not to live your life too sad. Try to find the happiness in all things. Try to find the good in all things. And keep moving forward in your path. And keep sharing and being kind with everything. That's going to make a difference in your life. But not just your life, but all the people around you and all the people that you meet in your life. And that's pretty important. And so with that, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to what I had to say. As Anishinaabe people, we really believe that, when we join together and with something good. That it doesn't matter if we have different ideas, as long as we're all moving together in the same direction. That's really important. Not everybody's going to think like us, act like us, or have the same plan to get there. But as long as we're all moving in the same direction, then who cares? You know, support them, support your people, support your, every good move forward, support it. Say, that's a good thing. I back that up. Even if it's not your idea, even if you got something totally different that you have your own way of doing it, well, that's good too. But always support all the good things forward and ignore all the bad things. Just don't worry about them. Don't give it any power. So with that, I want to say thank you. And I'll ask Jody if she has any questions.
Thank you. No questions from me, just like pure gratitude. But what resonates with me is one of my the first elders that I met on my journey home to connect culture and bring my ancestors home to their homelands was that if there's anything negative you hear in your mind, it's not yours. It's not from you. You would never put anything negative in your body. So, that resonates. Some of these messages were beautiful. Sherry, message puts them up here. We have a teacher that had his class watching. So if you're okay, I'd like to put some of their messages on here. And this one was, I think it's from, let's see here. I've read can you read that, Isaac? I've read a few stories. If you got it?
I think probably the favorite story that I like to tell is a ghost story that happened, but it's a good ghost story. But I hardly ever tell it, but it's definitely one of my favorite stories. And it happened to me personally and somebody else. And it's just extraordinary. And it's so powerful what happened. And it left a lifelong impression. But it's something I never really tell on social media. Good
Thank
question.
you. Here's one from Amber.
What's it like?
What it is like?
Yeah, what's it like living in the bush? I love it here. It's beautiful. I really like living here. This is where I come from. This is my home. And so it's I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I feel connected to everything here. It's good. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you so much. And we have one, Miigwech, for your message this day, Isaac. Well, you're very welcome. And Miigwech for your teachings. Thank you very much to Native Ponies. Oh, I think you're on mute too.
Sorry, Native Ponies is Rhonda. Do you remember Rhonda?
Oh, Rhonda, yeah.
Yeah, Rhonda Snow.
Oh, wow, Rhonda.
Yeah.
The amazing artist.
Yep, she's moving right along. We'll have to connect you guys again back at our new space here in Halton. We haven't made an announcement yet, but people are finding out, and we'll tell you more about that. Leanne says, "So happy to see you today, Isaac."
Happy to see you too.
So thank you.
Yeah, happy to see you, Leanne. Even though you're just this big in a little corner square thingy.
And Lacey, that's right. Words support each other.
Always support each other.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
Well, it's always an honor, and thank you so much, Jody, for asking me. It's always a pleasure, and I just love the work that you do, and just keep going and keep up the good work, and I'm going to talk to you after this because we're going to talk about some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody at home or wherever you are watching this, thank you so much for tuning in, and many blessings to you. Be good to yourself and others, and it's all going to be good. So we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.